So I'm feeling good right now, guys. I'm feeling really good, especially after the last live video. I've been really taking the time out to attend to my needs and just look after myself. So, like today, I put my focus on skincare because I've been neglecting that. I even plucked my eyebrows to make myself look a bit more human, guys. So, I might have a certain glow to me, and that's the reason why I've just been working on prioritizing myself. It's good to be a bit selfish sometimes because I feel like I put other people's needs in front of mine. So today I'm really excited to do this topic. At first I was feeling nervous, but I was like, okay, come on, let's do this. Can I also give a warning that there may be background noises, like do ignore it, and I might get a disruption as well. So I kind of need to get onto this topic so we don't lose a lot of time because I need to get this message out here to you guys. And I love it if we can like discuss it further as well in the comment section, right? So today, as you can see, the title says stop the negative outlook on life, right? And this is easier said than done, guys, because obviously it's easy to think negative in a lot of situations. It's like being positive can also be toxic to some people. So when people expect the worst to happen, when they hear someone saying something positive, they kind of don't want to hear it because they don't want to get their hopes up. So I've made a lot of notes on this. I made a lot of notes for this video because there's a lot of things I do want to cover, guys. I do want to cover a lot of things. Um, but the whole point of this video is based on one of my friendships, right? So obviously it's based on a friendship that I no longer have in my life, and they were an online friendship. Okay, guys, this is like 2000, no, 2024, right? So a lot of people do speak online and create connections online. This is how the world is going. Not that you have to do that, but this is where the world's going, right? And I was actually shamed for doing like I was people would throw shame like at me for, making online friends when I was growing up because they thought it was weird and stuff like that. But I felt more, I felt like it was, easier for me to connect with people online than it was in person because you got that one-to-one, conversation, and whenever you want to have that conversation or whenever you want to talk, you got that person kind of like 24/7 or somebody to speak to around the clock, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how the internet sort of works, I guess. So let's have a look at my notes so I can kind of know what I want to talk about. So to start it off, right, I remember I was watching one of my church services back in lockdown, right? Because my church is an online church, and my pastor made a good message. Like my pastor is literally my favorite pastor in the world, right? He literally speaks the truth. Like when I say he speaks the truth, it doesn't just speak about Bible quotes and stuff like that. He relays it back to real life, right? So he was talking about day, evening, and night. And I'm trying to remember this, right? It's so difficult for me because the service was all the way in lockdown and I won't be able to find it on my history, right? I wouldn't know which service it is. But I just remember he was breaking it down into like three steps, right? And I can't remember what he said for evening, but for daytime and for night, it stuck in my head, and it just powered me up for life. So guys, so for daytime, that's when you put in the work in life. You really work, do the work for God, you know. And then evening, I think that's when you start to slow down. I'm guessing, I don't know. So you start to slow down, and night is when you physically can't work anymore. So it's like you're really old at that point and you can't, lift anything, your time's up. Basically, your time's up. So what I get from that message is stop wasting your youth, you know that you're able to do stuff, don't waste it, is what I'm trying to say. So don't waste your youth. So let me look at my notes because I did make some notes on this. So um also night is when your body needs to rest. Okay, so now is not rest, now is not time to be resting. I also made notes on another page about this. Let's see if I can find it. Wrote down a Bible quote, I'm sure I did. Yeah, so in John, we must do the works of him who sent me, night is coming when no one can work. We basically, what I gather from that is, I almost read like my notes out then, sorry guys. So as you can see in John, right, it's talking about we must do the works of him. So we should be doing the work of the Lord now that we've got strength in our body, right? We've got, you know, we've got time to do it now. Like, we shouldn't be wasting time. And he's the one who sent us. He's the one that put us on earth. So we should be grateful for that, and we should be doing the work for him, right? And night is coming when we can no longer work as well. So what I gather from that is we have strength in our bodies now. We should be working. We should going to sleep at a good time, getting up and doing the work, right? I always believe that you should. This is one of my, ideas that I believe that everyone should use the resources, right? Use what's around you. Also, do what other people can't do as well. So, for example, if somebody has an injury right in their foot and they can't walk for many miles, go do a charity walk. Like, your body is fit and healthy that you can do that. Do what others can't do. If you've got a skill or a talent that somebody wishes they had, but you're not using it, you're wasting what God's given you. So you should use your resources, right? Right, so I've covered that. Let's go into the next. So another thing that I've noticed is people that are living in their flesh, and I speak about this because I find that myself, like in my 20s, I was very lost and confused. Like, I had no purpose and no direction in life, right? And I just gave up. I just kind of went along with the flow of life, right? And what I've noticed is this applies to so many people. Notice how the people that are living in their flesh, like such as lust or greed and different things like that, you notice how their life is stagnant and unhappy. And people may not realize this, but when you talk to people that are not filled, they're not filled by the Holy Ghost, right? And they're just living life, with no direction, they're quite unhappy and their life is quite stagnant. Like, there's no growth. Like, when you literally cut off sins, right, and you commit your life to Christ and you start moving spiritually, you get elevated, like, higher. Like, it's a different kind of growth, like a growth that no one will understand unless they're experiencing it as well. Like, it's a different, like, when God blesses you, your life transforms in so many ways. It is a beautiful thing. So, guys, I want to talk about like complaining as well, because that's another thing that a lot of people tend to do, and it's quite negative. And I'm guilty of complaining. So many people are guilty of it. But when we are complaining, we are blocking our blessings. So let's bring a Bible verse, right? So in First Philippians 5:18, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So practice gratitude and be really grateful for where you are in life, because there are people out there that would do anything just to be in your situation, to be in your shoes, especially if you've got like a roof over your head, you've got clothes, you've got food, you've got family, you're thriving. Like, there are many people out there that would do anything to have that. So we should be really grateful for what God's given us and what He's blessed us with. Even if we're not happy with the situation, we should so be grateful. And this applies to like I can't speak. This applies to married couples as well. So if you're in a marriage and you feel unhappy, right? But God's given you a partner, a life partner, right? So we need to remember that, and we need to keep working at things that God's given us. Like, put the effort in, like, refresh it, come with new love, and just really appreciate it. Because if it was taken away from you for a second, you would realize how much you love it. It's funny how when something's taken away from people, they realize that what they had when it's gone. Is that phrase? You don't know what you've got until it's gone. I feel like some people do know, but take some time aside to appreciate your loved ones, and really practice gratitude, because the everyone that's in your life, like most people that's in your life, God's giving you them. So you should appreciate that, is what I'm saying. So Another okay, to elaborate onto the complaining, right? So, all right, let's start with the story, right? So, my friend that I connected with, right, online, we lost contact, and then we got in contact again. Because this is the thing, because it was like during lockdown, and then my phone had no storage, so I lost all my contacts. And then when I got a new phone, I got back in contact with that friend, right? I was gonna wait, but then my mind said just reach out to them, because for some reason, me and my paranoia, I was thinking, what if they're no longer on the earth anymore, and what if I miss my last chance of talking to them, right? So I reached out to them, right? And I don't know how people feel about connecting with old time friends, but I found that with these friends, we were completely different. Like, I was in a different headspace mentally. I was happier. I was connecting with God. You know, you could see the gap, is what I'm saying. So they reminded me that when we last spoke, which was like during the whole lockdown phase, they remembered that I was telling them that I was getting closer to God, and I was talking a lot about God. And that's so beautiful, because obviously God is so important to me, and I like to talk to him to a lot of people, right? Obviously, if they feel comfortable talking about God, right? I don't just speak to people that don't believe in him, but like I have to, share like how happy I am, how he's transformed my life. So it's a must. That's probably why a lot of people hear me talking about him, right? So I noticed that when I connected with him, he was in a negative headspace, but I was in a positive one. And what I gathered from that was, maybe back then when I attracted him as a friend, maybe I was in a negative headspace. And it's not even a maybe, I would have been. So it was almost like I've moved up in life. And when I say moved up in life, I don't mean, financially, or, you know, like in terms of like comparison. I meant that I leveled up spiritually in God. So when I leveled up spiritually, it's almost like I could just see the old relationship that I had with him, is what I'm saying. So I'm speaking to him not on a fresh new start. It's almost like how we used to be, if that makes sense. So this is what the whole video is based around, right? So with the whole complaining, right, I've made notes on these guys because I feel like I would forget the points that I want to cover. So I found that with my friend, right, he would do a lot of wishful thinking, like. So I find with wishful thinking, there's nothing wrong with dreaming or wishing for a better life. But I find that excuses can be like procrastination, right? Because you're not taking any action. You're just thinking and wishing, and finding excuses as to why you can't change your situation. But if you stop and think about it, what actions are you actually taking to make those changes? Are you so blinded by the situation, and you're so deeply indulged in lust that the devil is now able to cling to you and take you down with all the evil spirits? That's what I gather by it. When we're complaining and looking at life and being like, oh, it'd be so much better if I was living somewhere else, or it'd be so much better if I had a partner, or if I had kids, if I had a house, if I had a better job. And you're blocking your blessings, because what God is giving you, you're literally insulting God. You're complaining, you're not even content, you're not even grateful for where you are. So why would God give you anything else if you're going to have that attitude? We need to start thinking about like what we're saying out loud, what we're blocking, because we're not thinking clear when we're complaining. It's not healthy, it's very toxic. And what's the point going through life? I believe that when you're complaining, right, you're complaining so much that tomorrow if something really tragic happens, right, you're gonna wish you never complained about yesterday, and you're gonna wish you appreciated it, because how yesterday was so much better than the situation that you're in now, if that makes sense. So I would find that with my friend, right, they would do a lot of complaining, and they would do a lot of like, saying my life would be better, when I get this, when I get a partner. And I would remind them that if you was to get a partner right now in that headspace, I kind of don't think that anyone would want to be around someone so negative and depressed, right? And I meant this in the nicest way possible, because If you want like if you want to attract people, right? I've made notes on this, guys. If you want to attract people, right? People are more drawn to people that are happier and in love. If you notice, like when there's a couple and they're really in love, people are more drawn to them, and they actually attract more potential romantic partners as well, because they have a certain glow to them. And also you can have a glow to you when you connect with Christ as well, and you level up in the spirit. You can attract more people towards you as well. I've noticed that does happen. I make notes on this. um I also wrote in my notes that if you notice how people are more drawn to sin, right? They're more attracted to sin. But the minute that you mention God or the Bible, they get offended and their face goes sour. So it's almost like you've offended their spirit when you start talking about the Lord. Why is that, guys? Like why can everybody why can people talk, why can people openly talk about sin, talk about all the bad things on earth, talk about all the things that are not actually good for you. But the minute you talk about God or the Bible, it's almost like you're offending people. Like they just look at you and they're just like, like they don't even want you to talk about it. Why? Because the reason why I'm asking this question is because God is love, right? It gives you peace. It makes you feel happy and joyful. So if that is so happy and joyful, what's wrong with these people? Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's crazy how you see the spirits coming out of people just by talking about God. It's so crazy. So I think it's important to be mindful of your surroundings as well. I always say this. It's so important because you could be negative because you are living or working in a negative environment as well. So that could be the case. You have to be very mindful of your surroundings and the environment that you're actually in. I also write on my notes about complaining, right? Uh I would say work on getting, like, if you're looking at life, right, and you're wishing for something else better, get your life better now, like in the moment that you're in. I would say, like, work on getting your life better now would be like my advice, because um think about what you can do now to make your life more bearable. Like, think about that, and become content and grateful for where you are now. I think it's very important, because once you become like content and grateful, you can, make wise decisions. God can speak to you. He sees that now you're relaxed about where you are. Now, which path would you like to take? If that makes sense. Um, I also found that my friend was never satisfied with a lot of things, but I would see the positives. I would see that he's breathing. His situation might not be ideal, but I believe that you should make, even though his situation, sorry guys, I'm reading off my notes, even though his situation wasn't ideal for him, I think it's important to make yourself useful in every situation, right? So, wherever you are placed now in life, how can you be beneficial to people around you? How can you make yourself more useful, right? I think that's very, very important. I found that in our friendship, I was constantly trying to like shove my motivation his way. I was trying to help him to see things from a positive aspect. Um, I would talk about my small wins with him, hoping that my positivity would, radiate through to him. I would also talk about the things that made me happy. I would show that I can literally go out and make myself happy. Like, I would show that I was able to take control over that. Um, I just found that each time I did this, I would see like a major decline in him, and no matter what I did, I couldn't make him happy, and he was just stuck. He was so stuck. Um, he was very, very stuck, and I do remember like talking to him about the Lord, and asking him if he reads his Bible. I remember him saying no, and then on another occasion, we spoke about the Bible again, but then he told me that he reads Psalms. So I kind of like I just literally had a brainwave because I had a dream last night, right? And I'm thinking, I'm thinking that like there was something in my dream connected to what I'm talking about now, which is so weird, right? But I can't remember the dream that well, but just by what I just said, it just made me think about my dream. So I found it weird that like he would lie and say that he doesn't read the Bible, but then when I confronted him again and brought the same advice to him, he was like, "Yeah, I do read it," which was strange. Um, I feel like if you do lie about your situation, it's hard for people to help you or advise you. You have to be very honest with people. Um, let's read my notes. I wrote so much, guys. I'm literally like trying to like scan through everything. Um, I do believe that like the guy that I spoke to, I believe that he comes from a depressed family. I believe that's a culture in that house, right? They're very depressed. There's a lot of sickness in the house. You know, he's a carer for his he was a carer for his mom, and then I think now he's a carer for his dad. And there was a lot of like bad news, and I feel like because he was being influenced by it, I think that made him come across as depressed. I do hope that he's in a better place now mentally. Um, but it becomes tough when you're talking to someone like that because it drains you. You're literally trying to like breathe life into them, and it's almost like you're getting nothing back and you're just feeling so drained. I think that's what was happening. Also, if you're surrounded by like people that are negative, you become like what's around you, right? So I do believe that what you focus on grows. So if you focus on the negatives, that's going to grow even more. That's why what I try and do, what I try and do in life now is I try and focus on the positives and try and look towards the better things in life because that's what I want to manifest more of. So I think that's so important. Yeah, so I stopped thinking about certain stuff in my life that was not really benefiting me, and I started focusing on the things that I want to attract more of. What else have I made notes on, guys? I also find that people that have learnt to navigate through life, they take control over their life, right, and they elevate. And I find that people that are going through problems, they struggle with this when they go to people with their problems. They kind of want someone to listen to them or maybe advise them. And I find that people that have kind of mastered that and like got themselves together, they kind of don't have the patience to listen to people when they have excuses. And I don't know if that's really like um beneficial to that person because you may be like pushing them back down. So we kind of have to pay attention to how we're speaking to people and what kind of effect we want to have on them. And like, it's not, sometimes people can't help the, you know, the problem that they're going through, and they probably just need a bit more clarity on the situation. So I find that when people don't, when people have mastered some of their problems, right, and they see that somebody is complaining, for example, they kind of don't want to listen, and they're very harsh with their words, and they're telling them you need to do this, you need to do that, and then when they find the person not listening or they're not taking the advice, that's when it doesn't kind of work, right? So that's a kind of like a perspective that I've noticed with like things like that, like especially me, like if I go to people with my problems, I find that people that kind of don't want to hear it or they have their life together, they kind of like they don't want to hear the excuses. They just want to be surrounded by people that actually go out and sort things out and get what they need to get, if you know what I mean. Like people like to be around people that match themselves, you know. Is that thing like misery loves company? Like some people don't want to be around people that are miserable because they're gonna feel like it's dragging down their energy, right? I also made a note saying appreciate those who lead you back to Christ as well. I think that's so important, especially when you're going through a rough time. Like people that remind you about God and remind you to pray, remind you to read your Bible, remind you that you are loved by God. Those people are so important because they're redirecting you back to Christ, right? Let's see if I miss anything else. I'm gonna tell my story at the end because I think that would be so important, especially for this message, right? Um So some things I've written, I don't think it's necessary in this video now. That's why I'm just like reading for so long. Okay, I'm going to talk about me because anyone that knows me knows that I love to journal, right? So I literally used to write my journal a lot. I've got so many pages, guys, so many pages, right? And I used to read back my old journal entries, right? And I tell you, like, I started writing in this journal. I'll show you guys. I'm not going to show you what I wrote, but I started writing in this journal in 2016, right? And when I read back on this journal, I was just shocked about how negative I was. The complaints, everything. Like, I literally wrote on my first page back in Wednesday, 28th of December, 2016. And I literally complained about how it was a strange day. And after that, I was like, I was disappointed that I woke up so late. And I said the day was wasted. This is my negative outlook. And then I just said how I was complaining. I said again the day was wasted. I complained about how they changed, the rotas at work. I said I was angry for the full day and other people had to listen to it and it wasn't nice. That just shows like someone that just can't control their thoughts or keep them to themselves. Someone that wants everyone to know that they're feeling angry and everyone has to listen. Like that is what complaining is about. Complaining is sympathy. It's a way to get sympathy. But what happens is when they're complaining, they're not getting the sympathy of people. So they end up ranting and raving to themselves. That's literally what complaining is. But when I finished that journal entry, because what I used to do is I used to write the 3 things that I'm grateful for. So actually, on that same journal entry, I wrote that I'm grateful to be alive. I'm glad that my family is alive. And I'm not gonna say the last one, but it's almost like I was grateful for like family. So I find that if you are feeling negative, journaling can be quite good for that because you can write about your day, get your thoughts out on paper, but end it with 3 things that you're grateful for. And you'll be surprised that you actually found something good in your day. So I found with journaling, like, even though I wasn't happy with the job that I was living in, I'm sorry, not living in, I was reading my notes as I was saying that. Sorry, I wasn't happy with the job that I was working at, right? um I found that even writing the things I'm grateful for helped me to practice gratitude because gratitude is so important, right? It's so important to give thanks, be grateful for what God's given you, and you know it helps you to stop wasting your life. Like, stop wasting your life, guys. Stop complaining. I mean, we're gonna always complain. There's always gonna be something to complain about, but just be very mindful of what you're complaining about because you could be complaining about your own blessings and you don't realize it's a blessing. Like, it's a blessing to have food on the table. There is people that don't even have any food, so we should be really grateful for that. I also find with parenting as well. So let's cover parenting. I find that we have to be careful with what identity we give children as well, because that can, you know, encourage negative thinking in that child. So child can walk around with the wrong identity as well. They could walk around with the spirit of neglect and spirit of rejection. So that can happen if like a parent didn't want that child, right? Or if a parent has neglected that child, they're going to be walking around with the wrong identity, and that may manifest like demons and stuff into their lives, right? That would just keep that pattern going, right? So, but I believe that Jesus can heal us, right? He can heal us. And it's our job also to recognize what we need to heal from so we can walk into the path of what we, you know, walk into the path of who we truly are and what we truly deserve for us, right? Yeah, so I think I've covered like most of the stuff, guys. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that I may have missed. Um, I find that social media is like the breeding ground for like complaints, especially with Facebook. So I used to find with Facebook a lot of people would use their statuses to complain and vent. That was like the common platform for it. Um, I also find that workplaces can be, a breeding ground for negativity as well. You find that a lot of people do complain on their jobs as well. Another culture that I find in the UK with complaining is that a lot of people always complain that they have to go to work. Like there is people out there with no jobs that will be grateful to have your job position, and you're going into work and saying, "Oh, I have to work today," or "I have to wake up early tomorrow for work." Like, why are you complaining? You choose to go to work. You chose that lifestyle. So why are you complaining? That's the thing. We choose every every choice we make is, you know, leads up to what, you know, oh, I cannot speak, guys. The choices that we make is the life that we live in today. So why we complain about the choices we made? Um, I also find as well that a lot of people tend to just complain selectively to certain people as well. Like I found that my last job, like there was a lady that would always complain, but she only complained when I made an appearance. But anybody else, she was always positive and radiant. So I found that to be like an energy drainer, right? Like she was almost trying to influence like how I think and feel. Um, I find that, no offense if there's any good step parents out there, but I find that a lot of step parents can be very negative towards their stepchildren as well. I believe that if you are blessed enough to be welcomed into a family, right, and that your partner's got children, you've been given a role, a big responsibility, especially from God, right, to be that parental figure for that child. You're supposed to help them grow as a person and help them to become the person that God wants them to be. Like you should be that light for them, to reassure them on life and help guide them in life. It's so important. Like everyone plays an important role in everyone's life. So you could either choose to be the bad person in someone's life, or you can either choose to be the good person in someone's life. So the choice is yours. But I'm gonna leave this video here now, guys, because I think I've been on here for too long. But if anybody has any, comments that they want to add to this video, let me know. Also, a quick note, guys. So, to summarize, actually, it's very important to summarize. So, the whole purpose behind this video is that if anyone's having a negative outlook on life, it's not going to change your life. You're not going to elevate. You need to start being more grateful. Be content about where you are. I also forgot to tell my story. So, I found that I was always complaining about my life. I was always escaping my life, like going on vacations. I wasn't happy, guys. And I wasn't happy in my work environment. I wasn't happy in my home environment either, right? So I made the decision to just be happy about where I am. So this is what I've written down. I'm going to read it out to you guys. So I put down that I'm no longer focused on escaping. I'm going to learn everything that I need to learn. I'm going to build on the future life that I want to create. And as my pastor said on one of his services, keep growing your way out, read books, But I also believe that it's important to accept your reality and normalize it as well, because people like to glamorize like certain type of lifestyles. Our life can't always look like everyone else's. That's something to realize. Our life can't always look like everyone else's, and take a moment to think, like, why has God got you in this situation? Like, what is your purpose in this situation? What can you teach people around you? It's like, for me, like, I'm very content about where I am now. There is some elements that I would change. I am hoping to like make movements somewhere else, obviously in the future, but I am like I strongly believe that I am the head of, I'm the godly voice in my home. So I believe that I am the light for my home, where I can teach people about God, educate them on that. I believe that I'm the head for that, and I believe that's the reason why I'm here. I'm very important because I've got to plant the seeds. So that means when I do leave, people can get closer to God. Like that is my aim. So for anyone that's like thinking negative on their situation, accept your reality. Just accept it for what it is, right? And take the time to be grateful for it. Like even me, myself, like I literally told, like, I told my abuser, right? I told my abuser that I'm so grateful for you, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't have gained all that knowledge and wisdom if it wasn't for you. And I said, thank God that he put you in my life. Can you imagine that? My abuser heard me say all that to them. Thank God that he put you in my life, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be. I don't believe I would be closer to God either. I can't imagine my life being any different, to how it is now. I don't think I would have had a close relationship with him. I just think I would have carried on living worldly and just believing life is a party, and it's not. Life is not a party, it's a serious thing. There's so many things that you need to take in consideration. You have to be mature, you have to get your life right. And that's where my focus is now. You have to stop looking at life from a negative outlook, because it's not productive. It's not going to help you. It's just going to hold you back in life. You have to cut off like sinful acts, connect with God, and just understand that there may be things that are hindering you, which is fine, but just be content where you are and just keep working and keep building yourself up and get your life right. So that means when you do go where you need to go, it'd be beneficial. But also, on a side note as well, the reason why you may not have moved, I don't believe anyone's trapped, because the reason why you may not have made that direction in life is because whatever's out there is not appetizing to you. And this is the problem, because with my friend, right, he's in his 40s, right? And he's been single all his life, right? Which is not a bad thing, right? He's been single all his life, and he doesn't believe that he can get into a relationship. And I was trying to tell him that he can. He can get into a relationship because he's a lovely guy, he's got a kind heart. But he was very negative in his thinking. He didn't believe he could meet anyone. He had low self-esteem, was feeling depressed, and all these excuses and these complaints is what's keeping him stagnant. And I was trying to be the light for him. And obviously, we can't save people, we cannot help people. I understand that, but just know that if you've got a negative outlook on life, how is that helping you to become the person that you need to be? How is it helping you to go into the direction that you need to go into? So take a moment to think about that now, guys. And I'm going to leave that thought with you. So I'm going to leave this video here. If you do have any questions or anything that you want to add to this video, let me know in the comment section below. And I thank you so much, guys, for watching and tuning in. And thank you to anyone that does watch this video after I do post it as well. So I'm going to leave this video here now, guys. Take care. Love you all. And stay positive. Bye.